the old crusty bedroom, old crusty living room. Let's see if anybody wants to come on tonight. One person in here, you come in and say hello. Been a long, it's been years. I think at least 2 years, 3 years since I did a live stream from here. I'm all alone as I normally am. My heater's going, it makes a lot of noise. It is what it is. But if you come up, say hello in the chat. Thanks for the thumbs up, whomever you may be. Tina finally got the computer working. She says she had to mess with it about 5 hours to go in there and fix. She said things that looked like somebody just messed with it and changed everything on it. I said, what? Yeah. She said somebody just, average people do not understand. They have no idea what not having the safety of your home means. The average American doesn't understand what it's like that when you leave your house, anyone and everyone can walk in and you can't prove it. You can't stop them, and no one's going to listen to you when you say it. No one. Your home is your safe place. When you're a targeted individual, you no longer have a safe place. Everything in this place is messed with. There's something else Tina mentioned the other day that of hers that just disappeared, walked off. It's so often, all of the time, that things stand up and walk out the door, and then something else will show back up that doesn't even belong to me. It's like somewhere in my town, because I know I'm not the only targeted individual in this town. There are hundreds of targeted individuals around you. They just don't know they're being targeted. It's like there's a safe house for all the feds. And when they want to harass you, when they are in the process of harassing you, they'll take stuff out of your house and just throw it in this safe house. And then I'll say, well, we got to take that stuff back now. And then they just grab stuff and put it back. I bought one pair of hunting gloves, and I bought them 3 years ago, real thin. And they're about wore out. Somehow, 2 new pairs of gloves have showed up in my hunting gear. I have no idea where they're at. None. I bought a camo coat off of Marketplace last year. And it's not what you would consider a hunting coat. It's just it's got green camouflage on it. It's a really nice, not a heavy jacket, but a medium jacket. It's gone. It's just disappeared. It's just like targeted individuals. Our silverware disappears from our house. Gone. Silverware disappear, plates disappear, bowls disappear, pots disappear, socks are the number one thing that disappears. Oh, well, you just lost your socks. They're in the dirty clothes somewhere. Nope. And socks were disappearing long before I even realized that socks were disappearing. So it's so bad now, and this is a tip for any targeted individual out there. When you buy socks, buy all the same sock. Okay? If you got like mismatched socks, different, like if you got like long whites, short whites, medium whites, blacks, it doesn't matter. Switch to all one sock. So I've got my black footy socks that I keep. I always wear a pair of black footies. In the wintertime, I've got thick wool socks that I'll put on top of it. But if you'll buy all the same sock, then it's not so you don't have to worry about matching this and matching that and matching this and matching that, because you're going to lose. They're going to take the match to the pair. So you're always going to have a matching pair. Hold on, I can't hardly. Let me put my glasses on. This writing is so small and I can't move it up. Good evening, Suchi Man. Let's see, I've left your blanket. It's not mine. Can't figure out where it came from yet. Please take care of yourself. If you're sick, you're pretty much useless to help yourself. I'm good. The boy is trolling you, son. Ain't nobody trolling anybody. Ain't nobody here trolling. I don't troll. I'm not a troll. I don't troll. Um, isn't that something to say? A man's trolling you. The same guy that has a drone that follows drones that follow him everywhere, or planes that follow me everywhere. I'm trolling you because I still ain't figured out how I set that up yet. And there's still not a good explanation. There's still not an explanation from any of the trolls why I'm being followed. None. I mean, for years, the people's been with me long enough realized for years it was, oh, that's Venus. Venus is always right there. That's Venus, until I started showing people Venus is always there. Because at the end of the year, in the afternoon, Venus is there at night over here, and then when I wake up, it's still there. Well, these people like to talk about the rotation of Earth. If Venus is here when I go to bed, then it should be way over here when I wake up. Thank you, Miss May and Bush. Mossy Man, good to see you, Mossy Man. These people are so blind. I mean, I've been doing YouTube for 8 freaking years, and I can't get 100 views per video. My subscriber count has went up. Now I'm over 700 now, and now I get even less views. It's like the bigger my channel gets, the more they choke it down. When you lose that safety of your home, nobody will understand that. It's literally you wake up every day and say to yourself, what's going to be missing today? What's going to be torn up? What can I afford to fix this week? Every day's that. I try not to concentrate on it. I don't record near as much as I used to. I could literally spend 24 hours a day telling you guys all the hell that I go through in this government program. You know how good it would do me? It would make it worse. When I went off YouTube for 3 or 4 months, everything calmed down, except law enforcement. They freaked out when I went quiet. That's when they decided they were going to threaten me. So it sucks. I've been stalked by the drones for years in New England. I have a clip on my YouTube of one from 2 years ago. Yeah, it's constant. And what you guys don't understand, I don't know if I've been sharing videos about this fog. It was me 2 years ago for my surveillance system showing you guys that thick fog around my house where you couldn't even see through it. And everybody's like, oh, that's misty. That's a misty rain. Nope, not a misty rain. It's a chemical haze, and it all has nanoparticles in it. It's all tracking technology. The same stuff that's in our blood. We're covered in this stuff. It's everywhere, and it's all for tracking. It's all for surveillance. It's all for this transhumanist agenda. We are a dying species. I hope that I can be around until Jesus comes back. I don't see that we've got that much more time. There's no way. You saw, I'm telling you, I saw his twin in Maine. Promise. There's no such thing as doppelgangers. I'll tell you that. But I have seen my twin back when I lived at my house that I got ran out of, that they stole from me. I saw me look just like me in my work shirt, in my pants and shoes, just like mine, sitting on my neighbor's shed, pounding on it so the law would come out and kick my door down and arrest me. And this is when I first started on Facebook. And when I saw him, every second I was on Facebook, because they didn't even have Facebook Live then. I would take a picture of me and say, I'm sitting on the bed at this time, poo. And every second that I was sitting there watching this guy, watching him, I'm sitting in my house, looking out the window and seeing him dressed like me, looking like me on my neighbor's shed, and I'm on Facebook. This is me, I'm right here. There's somebody on their shed. This is me, I'm right here. There's somebody on their shed. I think I should probably thank God for my memory of all that torture fading. The whole time they were B2K me. Oh, it's in your head. It's in your head. Why don't you write a book? Why don't you write a book? Write a book and see if people will believe you. Nobody believes me when I tell it. People are too lazy to read. You think they're going to watch a video and believe me? What I don't understand is, do the American people not have any deductive reasoning? I mean, the FBI wouldn't do this. They wouldn't go spending money on you. Really? They spent $40 million trying to take Donald Trump down when all they had to do was let the state prosecutors in New York do it. That's all they had to do? Really? The FBI wouldn't do any of this, yet they're got their hands in everything. These latest terrorist attacks, it's got the FBI trademarks all over it. And just like this is something the common person will be able to see. Did you hear anything about Black Lives Matter or Antifa burning down America the last 4 years? Isn't that weird how Joe Biden got elected? Or let me rephrase. How they put Joe Biden in office, that BLM and Antifa just decided America's a wonderful place. We don't have to burn stuff anymore. Isn't it weird? Where do you now things like I don't know, farms and our food processing centers burning to the ground, railroad trains crashing into the water and ruining water in East Palestine and all these places around America burning to the ground, and all of our food supply and our water supply being destroyed, and all these natural disasters all over America. But Antifa and BLM's they've been happy because we took down a couple Confederate statues, and that just made it all better. Isn't it weird? I'll see. People are stuck living in their own bubble and don't want to believe we're living in George Orwell's. That's a good point, Bush. I'm a thinker, so I'm always thinking. I'm always trying to figure something out. And if I see somebody that makes a serious claim, the first thing I want to know is motive. If I can't figure out what the motive is, then I'm going to start believing it a lot more. Why would he be telling me this? What does he have to gain, and what has he got to lose? So you guys tell me, what have I gained from coming on YouTube and looking like an insane person for 10 years? I haven't gained subscribers. Haven't made any money. I've gained the eye of local law enforcement because, as you well know, they're prosecuting me. And many people have experienced their local law enforcement going after them. So I haven't gained anything. It was sheer love for others out there that I could save them the mistakes that I made. And I'm not the best at this. No one can be, because as soon as you get decent at maintaining somewhat a normal life in this program, then they switch it all up and they hit you right in the middle of the eyes and start something new again. I mean, all they got to do, if you're just getting a little bit too happy, you'll come out tomorrow and your truck will be. How many times do you guys see my truck perfectly fine, nothing goes wrong, and then boom, something else happens? Just out of the blue. Just something so random. There's no explanation for it. But you see, in the mind of these people that are clueless, that have never even, that they didn't ever get a choice between the red, blue, and the blue, or the blue pill and the red pill. They have no idea. They've never even had that. They're just blind sheep stuck like this right here. This is all they do. They have no clue what's going on around them. None. I've been watching your channel since 2017. Well, thank you, Vito. I didn't know you've been around that long. And I haven't changed, have I? I think I've changed I maintained my cool a lot more than I used to. I didn't tonight. was sitting there on the couch and got back from doing my chores today. Got down, sitting down on the couch, and that white Maxima pulled up next door. I heard him bumping, boom, 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 all the way down the road till he got right here in the driveway, stereo blasting, shaking my house. I got that video. So I went on the front porch while recording and said a couple expletives as the some kind of South American girl was standing behind the car, blah 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 blah, bumping her gums, and I was like, "Oh, I'll just play the video. Heck, this is live." So I mean, forgive me for cussing. I still lose my temper. The Bible says, "Be angry, but sin not." I still lose my temper. My mouth is my biggest problem. My mouth, and not loving my neighbors is the hardest. That's the hardest commandment of all. It's the hardest one of all. It's just so. It's so. And there's not a doubt in my mind that these people are all part of the program. These people are all part of the program. There's not a doubt in my mind. I know that the feds are behind this mass immigration. The UN, the feds, it's all part of the same program to destabilize America. So, of course, they would love to buy up the condemned house next door, put lipstick on the pig, and then move 20 or 30 illegal aliens in it to harass me, because knowing I don't care much for illegal aliens in my neighborhood, next door, or in my country. I don't care much for that. I just can't seem to get over the fact that I was born and raised in this country, and my forefathers bled and died for this country, yet I have less rights in America than the invaders next door who are being paid by our tax dollars to be here. And they can commit all the crimes they want, and local law enforcement knows, see no evil, hear no evil, until it's me. Let's go show up. It ain't gonna show up.
Turn the fucking music down! What the fuck is wrong with you stupid people?
Isn't it weird? Within a second of me screaming, the music went off. It's almost like they knew they shouldn't have been playing that music that loud. See, now I understand that, Mossy man, I think from my recollection, you live in California, so you've seen this invasion forever. California's been full of this. North Carolina's been full of it too, but not to the extremes that it is now. The extremes. There's nowhere I can go in this town. The houses on this side of the road are all illegal aliens have bought them. So for all the liberals, all the left-wing liberals are saying, oh, they're poor. They're just coming here for a better life. How is it they can leave the third world and come here and pay cash for a home, buy a brand new car, and all of them and all of their kids have brand new iPhones and new shoes and new clothes? How is it they're that destitute, but they can travel from the third world, come here and buy up neighborhoods, own businesses? Explain this to me, because it no compute. Besides the fact that, I don't know, the government's paying them millions of dollars to come here. They're paying for their travel. They're paying for their food. They're paying for their housing. They're paying for their health care. They're buying their cell phones, their shoes, their schooling. The government's paying for all of it. You look like little town of God. Hold my tongue. It's I remember I'm trying to look back at this. I remember the gang stalker that you had to tell off in the Walmart parking lot. Oh yeah, oh yeah. The chief of police here reminded me of that. He said, "I saw how you went up to that innocent man and you threatened him with a firearm at Walmart. That man didn't do anything to you, and you just ran up to him and threatened him." I was like, "Is that really how that went?" And what I hate, guys, is I didn't have a backup. All the videos I made, it's all gone. All that proof from all the years is just gone. They deleted it all. I've got no way to bring it up. And the guy in the Mustang, that's exactly who it was. Man, you guys are bringing back memories now. Well, thank you for being here, Valparaiso PD. PD, you a police department? That's scary, huh? My question is, man, I'm thinking about playing that. I need to put this video out anyway. I need to play my chief of police in this town threatening my speech. I need to play that I need to play that soundtrack. It's just my PTSD is so severe. I haven't listened to that playback of that recording but one time, and I've had it for 2.5 years. I haven't listened to it but one time. I haven't watched Mason's video of me getting assaulted in the driveway. I haven't, because I don't, that stuff's already traumatic enough. My PTSD is debilitating. It is. I can have, and I do. I've got court papers. They're in my truck now, but they're on my desk in there, and I can't even open up the court papers and look at them because that night was so traumatic. On video, it's not going to look like that big a deal, me getting slammed, but when you realize that a man didn't do anything wrong, but we're going to take him, I mean, I haven't seen the body cam yet, but when you see the way this cop was, you're going to see it, and you're going to understand it. The whole thing was a setup. The way he acted from the beginning of the stop to the end of the stop. Because, see, he expected me to act like I did on the last 2 times that state troopers pulled me over. Remember, a trooper pulled me over for speeding when he lied in court records. He said I didn't have an explanation for my speed when he lied about all that. I cussed him out and all that other stuff. So he sends his other trooper buddy over here to sit at the up at the top of the road. When I cross the tracks, the sun is literally as big as this wall at 5 o'clock in the afternoon when I came through there. No way that cop saw my seatbelt at all. No way he saw it. But as soon as I get past him, he comes in, follows me in my driveway. That's the one where I went off on him, chased him back to his car. So the cop that pulled me over thought I was going to be the same way that night. And he actually thought this was his stupid thinking. That was one of the first nights that I didn't see the drone when I was coming home the last time when that cop tackled me in the driveway. That's one of the first. I was like, where's the drone at? And as soon as I realized, because I left where I was coming from, as soon as I looked up, I said, that drone's not there. And then I looked at my phone because I listened to my preaching all day long. I always listen to I don't need to take deep breaths. I don't need to take deep breaths. There ain't nothing wrong with my breath. So I listen to my preaching all day long on my phone. That's what I do. And I had a cigarette lighter in my car, but as soon as I put a cigarette lighter in there, it started killing my battery, but it was hooked up correctly. So I was like, well, I'll just unplug it. So when I unplugged it, the battery's still going dead for some reason. Weird, right? So my phone was dead. So when I was like, well, I won't film it tonight because my phone's dead anyway. And somehow that cop, when he was interrogating me in the back of the car in my face like his with a flashlight, come on, won't you look me in the eyes? Look me in the eyes. Look me in the eyes. I mean, you'll see it from his perspective where he's like, why he had triggered me and continuously it triggering me the whole time on purpose, trying to get me to snap, trying to get me to hit him is what he wanted me to do. He wanted me to assault him. Of course, after he had the handcuffs on me. He's like, I see you're not recording now, are you? I was like, he said, you didn't want to record you being an ass, did you? He said something like that. And I said, I've recorded myself plenty of times being an ass. I have no problem with that. My phone's dead. I said, I don't care nothing about it. This ain't got nothing to do with recording. Why didn't I record? Because I didn't do anything wrong. Oh, really traumatic. I mean, seriously. Thank you, Zoloft, for being here. Even when I was at the jailhouse, I was sitting there saying all the First Amendment audit channels. Actually, that's the first mugshot I ever smiled for. As embarrassed as I am over my tooth being chipped like it is, I actually smiled because I was like, I didn't break the law. I mean, a lot of the other times I got arrested, I don't want to say I broke the law in those times, but for the writing in the law, I had a reason to be there. But in my driveway the other week, no, there was no reason for me to be slammed to the ground and drugged to jail. None whatsoever. But I was like, yep, I'm smiling. I'm smiling. But very, very traumatic. Very traumatic. I mean, it's had a harsh effect. I mean, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. I've got a grandson. And I worry about what him and my daughters think of me. That's the biggest thing that pissed me off about my daughter's boyfriend when he started running his mouth to me. He's a rehabilitated thug, wigger. Some people would call him. Tattoos on his neck. I mean, he was strung out on dope. He was a thief, and I mean, he was bad. My daughter got him cleaned up and straightened out, and now he's got a decent job. He makes decent, and he don't even really make good money. It's decent money. He works. He's going to college. She got him started in college. He does. His grandmother is deaf, so he learned how to sign when he was young. So somebody said, "Listen, you already know the basics of signing, so why don't you go to school and get a certificate saying you know how to sign, and then you can get some kind of government job signing." And I think the teachers kind of sucked him in on that one when it comes to the pay ratio. He's like, "Oh man, I can make $100,000 a year doing this." I said, "Well, how many people are taking the same classes for this sign language stuff?" "Oh, well, we got a full class. There's like 30. I mean, there's a bunch of them all over the country." I said, "Well, that's a problem." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, it's like, everybody wants to, when Law and Order CSI come out, everybody wanted to be a crime scene detective. Everybody wanted to do computers, or everybody wanted to do the sperm checking and the DNA checking and all that. Everybody wanted to do that. Well, when you overload those fields with people, then means the prices for that job is going to go lower and lower and lower. You're going to drive the market down. So why would you take a job that doesn't pay great money anyway? I mean, if I'm going to go to college, I'm going to go to college for making medium to high six figures, not just, you know what I mean? Base six figures. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, that kind of threw us off with him, because here he is, hasn't been reformed 2 freaking years, and he's calling me, "Well, you should, if you wouldn't have been out being a criminal and getting arrested, then we could have got something done." I mean, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. No one should be arrested for a simple traffic stop. Simple traffic stop. No one should be arrested for that. I don't think you should be arrested unless you've destroyed somebody's property, or you've laid your hands on somebody, or you've stolen somebody's property. I don't think you should be arrested for anything else. Everything else should be, okay, here's a piece of paper, show up in court, let's discuss it, or go Zoom call. The courts are just overwhelmed. I mean, the courthouses get bigger, but the schools get smaller. I mean, even with schools now, they're not building schools for my kids. They're building schools for the illegals' kids. You got a Mason school right now, and it is 90% Spanish-speaking children and 10% American children. We don't need police in the stream. I agree, Zoloff. And see, that's the thing. Cops just forget. They either forget or they just don't know what it's like to be human. I was watching a video today from Constitution State, and I think he's a left-wing wacko, but he does police accountability. I think he's had some issues with drugs, and that's the bad part, is cops assume everybody that does First Amendment auditing, or everybody that's an activist about cops, they just assume, "Oh, you're just a criminal and you hate cops because you got busted." That's just not true. It's just not true. But I was watching a video where a police chief, and I was really torn in the video, because the police chief his wife kept calling and getting him arrested for supposedly abusing her. And the cop's sitting there wondering why these guys not. He's a chief and he's talking down to a different department, but detectives, and he's trying to pull rank on them and act like he's smarter and all this and them. And here's a chief, and they want to give him preferential treatment, but they still want to act like they're bigger and badder than him. That paradigm is so confusing to me because I always want to assume that a man's innocent. Even with cops, I want to give them the presumption of innocence. Why? Because in the scenario where it was his wife having him arrested and they're going through a divorce, I know what it's like to have your wife have you arrested. Because my wife, all she had to do on Thursday when it was time to party was slap herself here, slap herself there, and scratch herself there. I'm going to jail for the weekend. And guess what happens? Nothing. Nothing. She gets the whole weekend off without me, getting the checks out of the mailbox, cashing checks, and having a good time. And I just go to jail for the weekend. I can't go find her. I can't find out what she's doing wrong. I can't give her crap when she gets back home. That happened time and time and time again. So I understand when it comes from a bad relationship with a psycho woman, and it can be vice versa, as you guys well know. So in that context, I will never, ever believe what law enforcement has to say to me because they are trained to lie. They're trained to lie to you. Not only are they trained to lie to you, they are trained to watch your body and see if you're lying to them. Not only are they trained to see if you're lying, if they lie to you, it's not a crime. If you lie to them, it's a crime. Not only that, forget all that. The Supreme Court said it's okay if you lie to them, officers. Lie to them. Lie about everything. It's okay. So with that statement from the Supreme Court, then God's statement, are blessed are the peacekeepers, goes out the window. They have lost that approval from God. They have lost that covering, that ordination from God saying, blessed are you, the peacekeepers. I believe what you're saying. I'm the one that saw your twin in Maine. Do you think the police are watching this now? Well, one guy in here said he's police. Valparaiso police. I guess that's in California. I think I called them on the phone one time and complained because that's what I do. My local PD erased my, because see, there's already been case law in America that if you go and you go on a cop's Facebook website for their police page and you put anything in there derogatory, that's protected free speech and they are not allowed to delete it. So anytime you post on the Facebook page of law enforcement, that's the last case that was held on it was $25,000 for removing a woman's comment from their Facebook page. So anytime you leave a Facebook comment anywhere on law enforcement on a government website, you make sure you screenshot it, boom, that you put it on there. Because I had mine done and I left it for this cop shop up here, and now it's gone. And I went to many different places where I'd left a review because that's the first thing I do. I get on Google Review and I'll go and I'll leave the video that I've seen online and I'll leave my complaint on there. And then when I come back to it, and I'm like, hey, wait a second, I've complained here before. And my comment's gone from all of them. So always screen grab it, always, because they are corrupt. It's in Indiana, not California, Indiana. Valparaiso is in Indiana. Huh, interesting. I think I called Indiana probably last week over Kansas City audits. I think it is. A little skinny black guy I called for. God, no, people don't like me talking about cops. We went from 15 people down to 8. It's I cannot give cops the benefit of the doubt. I can't, because the playing field is not even. They are out there terrorizing us over. It's really war on the poor is what it amounts to, because in my personal experience, back when I was making a whole lot of money, When I got a DUI, it wasn't a big deal. I could pay somebody to drive me around. I could pay the fines. I paid off community service. I paid it off. I was supposed to go to someplace and do community service, and I just paid it off. Guys like, hey man, you just give me money. You don't have to show up. I was like, okay, cool. It didn't matter. So it's a war on the poor. Rich people don't have to worry about their tags expiring on their cars because most of the time they're in really nice cars, and cops really don't go after those brand spanking new Mercedes unless they got that big old fancy rims on it, tinted windows, and they're bumping loud music. Cops, once you start watching and listening to what they do, it's pretty sickening. I understand where Black America and the people on the left believe there's a war on the blacks in this country. The FBI statistics, whichever ones that you can take as real, as you well know, that Christopher Wray, the soon-to-be retired Christopher Wray, who said that white supremacists and white nationalists are the greatest terror threat in America. Well, you knew that was crap. You know he was lying when he said that. I mean, we've got Venezuelan gangs, Tren de Aragua, that's here, and they're killing and murdering and raping and cutting heads off and chopping people to death. Oh, ain't you a felon? Why you got a gun? I got a lot of guns. What's your point? Learn state law before you start bumping your jaws. So once you realize that it's just a war on the poor, but these blacks think, well, law enforcement, all the black people are in prison. Well, low-income neighborhoods are over-policed. Now, a lot of people on the right will say, well, these black communities really want law enforcement in there to help stop the crime. They really want. No. They want to be able to pick up the phone and cops respond and help them when they're being robbed or help them when their houses are being broken in or the cars getting broken into. But that's not what happens when law enforcement set up in these low-income neighborhoods. The cops get in there and then they start harassing kids for crossing not the crosswalk. Start harassing kids for playing basketball. Start pulling people over for not having a seatbelt on. Oh, you got a headlight out. You got a taillight out. Oh, your sticker's bad on your car. They start harassing the public. The public is inviting them in to say, hey, help stop the crime. But instead of being robbed by robbers, now they're being extorted by lawmen. Wow, that's a profound statement, isn't it? That's profound, isn't it? But when you go to rich neighborhoods, guess what happens? You never see law enforcement. I've worked in multi-million-dollar neighborhoods in my town, and I never once saw a cop in any of the golf courses, country clubs, the nicest properties in this county, and I never once saw law enforcement. Not a sheriff, not police department, not one bit of law enforcement in these areas. None. So you telling me only the thieves are only breaking into poor people's houses who ain't got nothing? Oh, they got alarms on their houses. That keeps them. No. It's a war on class. And that's where cops kind of forget. They kind of forget what's going on. Because cops are taking part in this class warfare, the war on the poor. As I said, when you're rich, it's just money. And I didn't have FU money, as the saying goes. I didn't have that. I had enough to get myself out of a bind. But even out here in my driveway that night, I said, hey, man, write me the ticket. Write me the tickets. You don't need to take me to jail. He said, oh, you're going to admit you're wrong now. I said, I'm not admitting I'm wrong, but what's the point of taking me to goddamn jail? If you wanted to give me a ticket for not having a tag, write the freaking ticket and I'll go inside. I said, but you don't want to do that. You just want to inflict pain. And I haven't seen the videos. I've seen each different segment of the videos on a screen laid out at my lawyer's office, but I haven't seen the videos. But if you guys know me, when people see the video, when they think, because you remember when I got pulled all the other times and all the trolls said, show the body cam. You didn't talk crap to a cop. We know you were kissing their ass. We know you was kissing the cops' ass. Remember that? You remember that, Zoloff, don't you? When everybody said, I bet you were kissing ass begging the cops not to pull you. You didn't do nothing. You didn't go off on them cops. You're too much of a pussy to do that. Remember that? Well, you guys have seen my videos where I deal with law enforcement, and I treat them just like they are. If somebody's going to pull me over and threaten my life and my children's life and threaten to take money from me, I'm not going to be polite to them at all. So, I'm getting triggered thinking about those videos. When a cop is this close to your face with a flashlight, just the lights alone trigger me. Just those flashing lights trigger me instantly. But when I got a cop and got me handcuffed, got me the handcuffs tied on my wrist, doing this right here, this close with flashlight in my eyes, shaking it around and daring me to do something. And it's all to get a reaction. It's all to get a reaction. That's all it is. They want to push you until you commit a crime. That's why, and you'll see it on the video, when we were at the jailhouse. I'm arrested, going to jail for resisting, and writes me for a concealed weapon, which black powder can't be a concealed weapon. It can't be. It says it in the statute. The antique firearm is not part of the concealed weapons statute. The magistrate didn't understand the case law, and the cop didn't understand it. I tried to explain it. It's the first thing that pops up on Google. But my gun wasn't even concealed. You guys seen my gun. It sits at the top of my pocket. That's what the little belt clip is on it for, so it can clip to my belt. It's not concealed. So that's when they started measuring my pocket knives that I use for work. They pulled it out, and I'm going to get the measuring tape, measure this knife. And the judge is like, "What? You're going to do what? How long's the knife got to be for its concealed weapon?" And even the magistrate then is like, "What? Well, it's got to be less than 4 inches." I mean, where are we at in America where we have to measure a knife? And that just goes to show you this was about punishing me. It wasn't about justice. It was about, I'm going to show you. You dare throw us the middle finger. You dare expose us. You dare talk bad about law enforcement. We're going to show you. We're going to wage power. And this is some young little prick who wants to show his tough. He can do what he wants to do. What's up, Gabby? That's all it is. It's a power thing. Sickening power thing. There's the Mexicans. I can hear them next door slamming doors underneath my house. Ugh. Anyway, what do you guys want to talk about? I'm triggered already. 13 people in here. Hit a thumbs up button. It's not going to matter, but let's see if it does. I shared the story the other day, and more's come out about the weed eater story. A judge says this man stole his weed eater. So the judge writes out a warrant for his personal weed eater being stolen. So it was personal to this judge. Hold on a minute. Somebody's knocking at the door. I thought they were going to be gone longer than that. Anyway, so this judge sends cops to a man's house at 12 o'clock in the morning. Why are we sending a SWAT team to a 63-year-old man's house at 12 o'clock in the morning over $100 weed eater? How in America, in our society, did we start putting lawn appliances above a human life? What happened in America where you can, let's say the guy stole the weed eater. Should we show up at 12 o'clock at his house and kill him? Is that the penalty for stealing a weed eater? Now, the man was innocent. It wasn't even his house. It was the wrong house. Should we, as a
be killing men over weed eaters? The case of Eric Garner, the black man in New York. Supposedly, he stole a cigarette that was worth $1. So the cops, to prevent this grand theft, grabbed this morbidly obese black man and choked him to death. And guess what? The cops still walking around today innocent. My side's only showing 10 likes, Maine. Ain't that amazing? Only 10 likes over here. Why are people dying for over weed eaters and cigarettes in America? Why do people in America get slammed to the ground and arrested because a cop can't see a tag on a truck that is on the truck? Why is that happening? Why are we to that point in America that any reason, and any reason is a good reason? I'll tell you what happened. It's the new crime. The crime that I am not allowed to commit, no matter what. The crime that I am not allowed to admit. You're not allowed to commit it either. What is the crime that the American citizen, beyond anything else, is a crime you cannot commit? Do you know what that is? Contempt of cop. Contempt of cop. If you don't listen to every word law enforcement has to say, you deserve to go to jail. If you disrespect law enforcement, you deserve to go to jail. If you don't jump when I say jump, you're going to jail. If you don't turn around as soon as I tell you turn around, you're going to jail. If you do anything to make me feel smaller than you, you're going to jail. That's all disorderly conduct is in America. Disorderly conduct is contempt of cop. Resisting arrest is contempt of cop. Even in North Carolina law, it says, I could read it, but it says resisting is stiffening up. So if you grab me, I'm in handcuffs and I'm old and my body's broken, and you pull me and I try to keep from falling over, I'm resisting arrest? This is the problem with the laws and how they're written, because rich people write law. And a lot of the rich people who write these laws are not lawyers. The majority of them have always been in their nice gated communities. They've always enjoyed a nice, prosperous life. They see what's on Hollywood TV about the bad criminals, and they assume everyone that drives a 1988 Ford Ranger with a one color fender different from the rest and a camper cover on it and a man wearing camo and a beard, he's got to be some kind of criminal. So we don't have the common man writing law. We have class warfare writing law. And they purposefully write this law to be vague. Because it's vague, it leaves much room for many interpretations. It's like the case law right now in that the new law in Florida that Ron DeSantis has put in. You have to be 25 feet away from law enforcement to record them in Florida. Tell me how that was struck down in Arizona, but a judge has not stepped in Florida. 25 feet away, you can't see what's happening. You want to record cops, you can't hear what's happening 25 feet away. It's just like out here in the driveway. When the cop pulled me over, as soon as he jerked me out of my car, I started screaming for Mason. Luckily, he heard me and came outside and stood at the end of it, right here at the tree out front where Tina parks his car. I was yelling. I didn't see him yelling, Mason, come here. And when the cop shows up, slams me, Mason's recording it. So the cops kicked my feet out from underneath me, stomps on me. I think he hit me. I ain't seen the body cam yet. I think he hit me. I know he kicked. Mason said he kicked me really hard and kicked me again. But as he's doing that, when he gets through with that, then he goes chases Mason back to the front porch. Get back, get back, get back to the porch. You can stay on the porch. Mason's yard, Mason's driveway. Mason's driveway, but this little short pig, shorter than Mason, is bossing him around, threatening to arrest him if he don't move back. And all he's trying to do is stand in his yard and record his dad getting abused. Contempt of cop. And then I didn't have the volume on my video, but then he stands out there and lectures Mason. Wants to be his best friend. Talks all nice to him. Cop-splaining his behavior. Laws for thee, but not for me. Show me the man, I'll show you the crime mentality. There's only 7 legitimate laws, and one is like another one, so is 6. Yep. Do you have a PayPal or something for your time? I don't have a PayPal anymore. It got hacked, jacked, and whacked. I think Tina's got Cash App, but I don't know anything about that. But it's thank you for offering. I appreciate it. I don't have a Cash App. All I can do is do Walmart. I can't do anything else. Everything I got's hacked. Last time we had a PayPal, I got gang stalked. I sold a really nice Harley Davidson front end. It was perfect, not a scratch on it. Sold it to a man in Ohio. He gets it and it automatically puts a stop on the payment, says it's damaged, sends me pictures of it. And I said, it's not damaged. I'm looking at the pictures. And then he says, I'm sending it back. So he halts payment and he sends the box back with the old Honda front end with rocks in it weighing the same, close to the amount that my front end weighed. So he got my money, got to keep his money, and got to keep my front end. And PayPal bounced our bank account for another 3 months after that. Been to Caldwell County, how the cops there? They're just as bad there. They're worthless in Caldwell County. That was the state trooper in Caldwell County that pulled me. But that doesn't matter, does it? Why is America the freest country in the world, yet we've got more people in prison than 3 times the world's population? Can you guys think of 44,000 laws? How do we? I want to see the stats. I want to see the stats on this to see when the laws started piling up. I want to see those stats. I want to see it when the laws, because that's all they do at Congress. Every day, all they do is make laws to regulate us. Isn't that weird? Every day, they regulate business. They regulate travel. They regulate us. They do everything that they do in Washington is to choke us out. It's to smother us. Yet our constitutional rights get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. It's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. It is exactly what the founders didn't want to happen. And the sheep, they don't see it. They don't get it. I mean, 20 years ago, you talked about chemtrails. People would say you're crazy. Now you mention it, they're like, well, I noticed it, but this ain't no big deal. I ain't sick yet. But you're wrong. We're all sick. We are all sick from it. We're all sick from what they're dumping on us. I've shown you guys the haze. I've shown it on my cameras. It's bad. I shared a video the other day of a drone that got up above it. And it was a beautiful day up here. I mean, weirdly, the sun was below the horizon. I don't know how that happened, but it's beautiful above it. Why? Because we need vitamin D. We need that. We have to have what the sun puts out. But we don't get it. We're not going to get it. Mason's covering up his ugly hairdo. So you see him going through in the hood. He decided to make himself look like a punk rock skunk. Don't get it. Understand it. But how do we get where we're at? How do we get like this? And for the people that's in here and you're targeted individuals, you know what our government is capable of. All these terror attacks is going on. You know who did that. You know it as well as I do. It wasn't a lone wolf. They said, oh, this guy had everything, and then his wife divorced him, and then he lost a business, and he went broke, and he just decided, I'm going to become Muslim and kill people. Huh? No, Dobby. Quit. Get down. He's showing himself. He wants attention. Just like the other guy from Fort Bragg as well, another military man, and he just wants to go blow up a Tesla in front of the Trump Tower in Nevada, Las Vegas. They kind of figured that one out. Have you heard about that? They say now that supposedly somebody's body was in that Tesla, and the reason they use a Tesla because it's supposedly bulletproof, and the Tesla will drive itself. So all they had to do is put in the coordinates of that Tesla and have it drive the body there, and it blow up in front of the Trump Tower, and no one's the wiser. Isn't that weird? That's what's been figured out so far. But the FBI let a journalist walk through the house of this, or walk through the crime scene in New Orleans. Why would they let a journalist walk through a crime scene and record everything? It was almost like they were setting a narrative. Is that weird? The Winston County, Mississippi sheriff I talked to the other day, as I was talking to him, he said, I don't like any criminals. He said, I actually arrested a cop for a drug offense. I busted him for having drugs or selling drugs. And I don't know if he was saying that to get on my good side or if he was being honest. I hope he was being honest with me. That truly is the tale of a good cop. But the majority of cops will never turn on their buddies. And this blue line culture, that's the start of it all. Their excuse is, well, it's not the start of it all. It's part of it. I'll tell you what the real reason was. But their excuse is if I rat somebody out, then when I call for backup, nobody will show up to help me. Wait a second here. For the people that don't know me, you don't have to believe the words that's coming out of my mouth. For the people that know me, you're going to know I'm telling you the truth. I'm a cop and I need backup and nobody shows up. Then I'm going to do what I need to do to enforce law and defend myself while putting the other person's health before my own. That's what men do who aren't scared. All you hear from law enforcement, and the majority of the time you hear it, it's in a situation where they're setting up a lie. Okay? But what you'll hear from them is, I was scared for my life. I felt in danger. I thought he was going to kill me. I feared for my safety, and those are my colleagues. Fear, fear, fear. They're trained to say these key words, just like they're trained when they're beating you to scream, stop resisting. They're trained to do all these things. Chili DeCastro, God bless Chili DeCastro. I'll say that. God bless Chili. Send this video to him. God bless him. He did a breakdown. And in this breakdown, it was a high-speed chase. And in this breakdown, they shot and killed this guy. And from what it appeared, somebody stashed a ghost gun on him after they killed him. So they get away with killing him. And Chili slowed it all down, started taking notes, and he watched the body camera footage. And he watched all the clues. He watched all the signals. He spotted every single time these cops were manipulating everything around them. He was going through the whole thing and showing you what they were doing. It was just as clear as day as somebody doing sign language on the side. Chili was saying everything those cops were saying with their movements and their actions. And when I watched that, I already knew that it happened. But when Chili did that, I said, oh my God. Because when I first started on YouTube, I'm not good at it now. I'm not allowed to be good at it. I'll just tell you that now. But when I first started, my fingers were always in front of the camera. I was doing it this way and not this way. And it was shaking all the time or moving, or I had it too close or excuse me, too far away. I just didn't know how to work the camera. When you're a law enforcement officer, they teach you all the tricks to that camera. Point being, You remember the cop, was it down in Florida? That big old blonde-haired cop where all his family members are military and cops, and he was going around stashing methamphetamines on people and busting them. He did that for 2 and 3 years straight before he messed up one time, or before he finally got caught on camera having crystal meth in his hand and putting it down in somebody's car. Cops are trained what to say. They're trained how to have that camera, or when to knock it off and it hit the ground, or when to mute. Why are there mute buttons on cameras? We need to call Axon. We need to get with Axon and ask them, why is there a mute button on a camera for law enforcement? Here's another part. You guys heard my address the other day about fixing law enforcement. How about as soon as they punch the clock at work, from the time they punch the clock, boom, that camera turns on. All day long. When they poop, piss, fart, shit, I don't care. From the time that cop clocks in till the time he goes off the clock, that camera should be on and recording everything. A cop, a camera in the hands of a criminal is no more than a device to exonerate him. Did you hear me? A camera in the hands of a criminal is just a device to exonerate him. See, there are a lot of stupid people out there, a lot of dumb people. But as we've seen with that one guy out in Arizona, that black guy on TikTok that goes out and throws ice into fryers at fast food restaurants. He went into Walmart last week, sprayed Raid all over the fruits and vegetables. Yeah, that's stupid. All for clicks. Recording himself committing crimes. Johnny somebody, Johnny Tsunami or Johnny something. He goes to all these different countries, gets kicked out for committing crimes. Now, this is in South Korea. He molests some statues of little girls who were raped in the World War II. He did vicious things. If you haven't heard about him, you Johnny Somali. Look him up. He was American. There you go. I didn't even see that, Zolop, but it came in my head. Johnny Somali. Look him up. Look at him. Not born in America, but raised in America. He's Pakistani. The filth of the world. Records himself doing all these crimes. There are dumb people out there. But law enforcement, they're trained not to do dumb things on camera. They're trained on how to use that camera to go around it. They're trained on how to write reports. You have to put those keywords in. I mean, on Sean Paul Reyes, Long Island Island. Go look at his videos. In one video at a city hall where the guard, this big bald-headed douchebag guard, shoves him repeatedly, shoves him down the stairs, threatens to beat him up, does all these things, and then the cops sits there and coaches that guy's confession, coaches his testimony on a witness statement. It's on body camera. He's coaching the guy. That's unlawful. Guess what happened to the cop? You'll guess? About as much that happened to me sitting here the last 10 seconds. Nothing. Same as my live stream today. There's never a consequence for a cop. And if they keep getting away with small violations of policy, then it's small violations of law. And then it's bigger violations. Next thing you know, we got cops out there killing people, getting rewards for it. You guys remember the video 2 years ago? It was a trooper. I think it was in Kentucky. He pulls this woman over. She's like 45 years old. Pulls her over for a sticker or maybe speeding. And he just starts screaming. He's a young kid, about like the one that pulled me over. Pulls her over and he starts screaming and cussing at her. Simple ticket. Screams and cusses at her. He comes back and she's like, you don't need to scream at me. You don't need to cuss at me. So he escalates it. He goes to grab her out of the car. The traffic stop's actually over. He keeps it going. Tasers her twice, drags her on the ground, throws her in the back car, It's going to take her to jail. Got her for resisting and all this other crimes, all this other stuff. Well, when it hit the media, when we saw it, when the people saw it, we were outraged. And some of the charges got dismissed. Her life already ruined. But they fired the cop. You know what happened to him? You want to guess what happened to him? He was out of work for a little bit. The police union just come in and said, well, he did everything within policy. So he had a year vacation. And they paid him all the back pay. And he maintained his rank when he came back. He tased a 45-year-old woman for no reason except for contempt of cop. Where's justice in that? Because in the private sector, when you beat your employer up, when you tase your employer in the private sector, you don't have a job. You don't. Let me read some of this. He was a Green Beret, shot himself before bomb went off, had fireworks and thing. Yep, I was scared for my life. They're trained to expect everyone will kill them. No, they're trained to use that for an excuse. That's not what they are there to do. Nope, they are there to serve the citizens of the country. No, they're not. They're not even there to serve. The Supreme Court ruled the only thing they're supposed to be doing is enforcing law, nothing else. Shouldn't have a way to turn it off. Yes, if they're ever caught doing something wrong, they will get a few days paid vacation, trip to Vegas for training. Absolutely. Take care, please. They say thank you, mainly Maine. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for being so kind. I do appreciate it. I'll leave my Yahoo page on here if you want to send me an email, maybe whatever. God bless you. They might get promoted, punishment. They transferred into another town, paid vacation, paid relocation with a raise. Listen, I'm still here. I'm here. I'm still here, mainly, man. Says you, it's over. Oh, I'm still here. What's the difference between cops and the Catholic Church? Catholic Church has priests that are pedophiles. The priests go out and rape a bunch of little boys, rape bunch of little girls, and they don't get fired, they don't get arrested, they don't get fined, they don't get punished. They just send them to a nicer place with new victims. Same with law enforcement. I need somebody with money. I know. All my trolls love to hear me say that. I need somebody because anybody want to make some money, here's all you got to do. All you got to do right now is get somebody in the tech industry and let's start making a website for criminal cops. We need a database of criminal cops. Cops have a Brady list, but you know how crooked the Brady list is. Cops that lie on reports all the time, they still don't get put on the Brady list. It's only got to be when a judge says he needs to be on the Brady list. But if I see a cop lie anything in a report, that's a Brady list violation. If he lied one time, that's breaking the law. When a cop signs that document and he puts a lie in there, that's a crime. But no, not cops. It only matters when you got a judge willing to hold him accountable, but rarely does a judge ever hold a cop accountable. Rarely. We need to build a website with the cop's face, with his badge number, all the places he worked, and if we got video of his crimes, we need to put it on that website. You know how big that, and once it gets big enough and it gains this legitimacy, guess what happens then? That's when the people in power can start bringing their new referrals in. That whatever cops are hired or beg or put in an application can come to that website and run the name through and see what comes back. Buds, Don Shipley, you know who he is? Navy SEAL Buds, Don Shipley on YouTube. He says he verifies fake Navy SEALs. I don't know how you verify a fake, but he's got a database. He's a Navy SEAL. He can see if somebody's a Navy SEAL or not. He's got the database of every single Navy SEAL. And people send him things all day long. People faking being Navy SEAls all day long or faking being this, faking being that. Right? So he runs it through there and then he puts it online. He'll call them on the phone and start talking smack and get them to start feeling comfortable, start talking, and then he busts their ass. We need that. We need a page or a website that we can go to and put that cop's name in and see every place that he's been and track all these dangerous cops. We need an ankle monitor for every criminal cop in America today. This gypsy cop crap's got to stop. They just go from one place to the next place, to the next place, to the next place, raining havoc all over the place, costing taxpayers millions, and just living a good life. I could beat somebody up here and get away with it. Worst case scenario, I get a vacation. And if it's really bad, they'll just send me down the road to the sheriff or to the police department or another county. Well, why? When you're us and you just get a small felony, just like a drug felony. Oh, drug felony, no violence, no more gun rights. Why are we letting cops continue to have that power? Police unions must be destroyed. You ever listen to a representative of the police union? If you'll sit down and listen to a representative of the police union, and some of the best examples is watching Jeff Gray's videos, Honor Your Oath. Go on his page and watch the watch cops being interviewed for rights violations in their depositions and their union reps beside them. And you listen to the horse crap that comes out of these unions' mouths. It is astonishing what they'll say. It is remarkable. They'll sit there and give a good explanation why a cop just walks up and blows a man's head off for no reason. They will justify that every single time. They'll justify it, no matter what. How is it in America where cops, the kill rate in America for cops is like 94% confirmed kills? Those are good kills. 94% are good kills? What? If that's the case, the standard for good kills is too low. If a cop's killed somebody over a seatbelt ticket, that's a problem. I think one of the next biggest things with police reform, I think one of the next biggest things is we have to outlaw high-speed chases. It's too much. It's too much. There are too many innocent men, women, and children dying and getting damaged in high-speed chases. Oh, a guy stole my car. It's perfectly fine while he's driving it. He's taking care of it while he's driving it. But then the cops chase him and then flip him and pit maneuver it and totals my car. And endangers everybody around him. That's the positive part. What? That's okay. I mean, how many pit maneuvers was in Kentucky and Arkansas is the worst in the country? How many? I mean, the one I mentioned the other day, the pregnant woman's on the way to the hospital doing 45 miles an hour with her emergency lights on. And the cop gets behind her and she waves and she puts her hazard lights on. And she's like, okay, waves at him and slows down a little bit, gets in a dang turning lane to go off to pull off the side of the freaking road. She's trying to go she's in labor. And this old freaking Kentucky trooper says, well, you should have stopped. What? Flips her freaking on her side, gets out and starts lecturing her on how dare she run from him. This is the cop mentality. Everything's suspicious. Everybody's on drugs. Everybody's got paraphernalia. Everybody's a criminal. And I'm scared of everybody that's one of them. You talking about brainwashed. They say I'm the bad guy. Talk to one of them. They're insane. I mean, just like the analogy I had the other day. I said, if a law come out and it said that black folks ain't allowed in public buildings, cops would enforce it. They have no freaking clue what they're totally clueless. If that's what the law is, men smarter than me wrote the law. That's what I got to do. That's why, I understand why people say it, but it really, I'll read something. Cops will let the pedophiles off. Cops protect pedophiles. You know that. He's not a pedo. Not him. I'm talking about the pedophile catchers. The cops let go free. 1984. Absolute Zoloft sucks. Yep. You're welcome. Lord, I love your lives. Entertainment. Well, thank you, Gabby. I sent you my email, Gabby, the other day. State law, high speed outlaw. Yep. My state outlawed high speed chases. They won't pursue past certain speed. Well, that's great. They ever hurt me in a hospital chase? I'm turning the gas pedal foot in the hamburger. There you go. High speed, not high speed. Yep, I get it. I was going to say something. I can't remember what it was. I lost it that fast. I get distracted easy. You see, everybody knows the system's broken. They know it's broken. They're making too much money on it to change it. You see, especially in Democrat states, they can't afford to walk away from that revenue. The taxpayers can't put up with being looted. There's no more money to get from the taxpayers. So now we'll just make everything a crime. We'll make city ordinances that just takes more money from the populace. We'll steal till there's nothing left to steal. And after we do that, and they ain't got no more to pay, we'll put them in jail. It's like I told you about child support in North Carolina. If you don't pay your child support, you go to jail. Tell me how that helps. And did you hear the latest thing in North Carolina come out last year, year before last? The state dips in and takes some child support. The more money social workers put on for child support on fathers, the more money they get. So the dads aren't just paying for their kids, they're paying the system too. So what is that? You know what that is, right? That's what the Constitution outlawed. Debtor's prison. And then they say, well, we're not putting you in jail because you didn't pay it. We're putting you in jail because you didn't abide by that judge's order. Isn't that the same thing? I don't have the money to pay it, but it's child support. I don't have to pay child support. But if I don't pay what the judge says to pay, that's a crime because it's not child support. It's a crime because I didn't pay the money. It's the most backwards, sideways talk you'll ever imagine. So let's see. We're going to pay the money to send for the judge to write the warrant and the clerk to file it and the clerk's secretaries to print it out, to send it over to the sheriff, for the sheriff to send a car out to tell dispatch the sheriff out to go to the house, to arrest the dad, take the dad to jail, to arrest the dad, and then the jailer's got to bring him in, and then the jailer's got to feed him, and then we got to sit in there, and then the bondsman has to come and bail him out because he ain't got no money to get out, so he sits in there. So the state's paid $3,000 in money to its employees. So the state just finds creative ways to feed itself. It's just like with bond. How many times have you guys been arrested for something, you bond out, and you were found innocent? How many times? Why don't you get your bond money back? If I was innocent, if I was proven innocent in court of law, why isn't the state giving me my bond money back? If I'm innocent, I never should have been arrested to start with, right? Why didn't I get my bond money back? Is that weird? I did not get your email, Gabby. Did not get it. I'll check again. Why didn't I get it back? Is that bizarre? That's the system. It's just like, and here's when I was with my ex-wife, even right now, I've probably got 900 hours of anger management classes, probably 1,500 hours in alcohol and drug classes and assessments. If I had certificates from all the stuff I've graduated from, I could probably fill that whole wall right there. And you know what I had all that classing and training for? No crime. No crime. No, I said no crime. I called social services to get help because my wife was running around taking my children into dope houses. But somehow I ended up going to classes. the state telling their buddies what businesses to open. Anger management, First Step, Women's Abuse Center, Male Abuse Center, drug and alcohol assessment, drunk driving, all these little buildings here. So the state says, hey, man, open up this, and this, and I'll feed you people to go to it. Okay. Boop, 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 boop. So then the judge just keeps feeding all these places. And guess what? Then the tax man gets tax revenue to send the money back up here to send right back to the judge. And once you get in the system, you ain't getting out. You don't get out. All of my past and all these times I was arrested for domestic violence, drunk, all this stuff. And it's all big as day. Just boom, 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 boom. But when you look at the little letters, it says, innocent or guilty. The innocent's in little small letters that you can't differentiate between the innocent and guilty, but they're still there. Why is it when cops pull up my record, it shows everything, but it doesn't just show the guilty ones? Why is it showing everything? So that cop's already set up to win. He's already said, well, we got a tiger on the tail now. We got a tiger by the tail, boys. And that cop that pulled me here, what? I didn't know who you were. The second cop blew it for him, though. He comes in. He was happy. I was in the back seat. This is one that slammed me, little short guy. He slams me, and I'm like, what the hell did you slam me? He said, well, you're bigger than I am. What? You slam me because I'm bigger than you? What does that mean? I'm handcuffed, and you got two guys here. You got guns. Let me rephrase that. You got guns, and you're willing to kill me. He see me in the back seat, comes around the front. Yo, you're that guy with that YouTube channel, aren't you? I said, keep on talking, man. Keep on talking. Keep telling me that's why you pulled me. Oh, I didn't know to do that. Let's see. I love that brain of yours. Thank you, Miss Maine. It's corrupt citizen there, tempting citizens to go postal. When trust is gone, postal is next. I said, thank you, Gabby. I've been beaten by police too many times, and it's over the most minor things. They want to taunt you, nothing but troll cops. Uh-oh, my computer's losing its mind. I didn't do anything, guys. I didn't even touch my computer, and they're whacking it right now. I didn't touch my computer, and they're messing with it. Wow, that was weird. They're hacking my computer. They took that. Are you guys still there? Tina! Did you just log into the freaking printer? No. Look, it just took my whole screen over. It just took my whole screen over. And I didn't touch anything.
What were you on?
I was on a live stream. I didn't touch nothing.
Okay.
Didn't touch nothing. And they took the screen. They're hacking it.
Well, is it still live streaming?
I guess it still is. They said it's still live. They said hello. So I don't have to touch it. Didn't even touch it. But people tell you that I faked all that. I faked it all. I would love to share my algorithm with my TV with people. I would love to share it. I've had to force myself to back out of police accountability. And even forcing myself, I see probably 30 videos a day of cops abusing people. Where have all the good cops gone? There's no good cops. There's not. If there were good cops, drugs would not get into prisons. If there were good cops, there would be no bad cops. If there were no good cops, there would be no pedo cops. If there were good cops, there would not be any pedos. When you put your resources to petty little traffic tickets like seatbelts and tag lights and stickers, but you got pedophiles running loose in your neighborhoods, your cops are corrupt. Tell me how a sticker on your car makes that car illegal. Because you didn't pay the king for permission to drive, right? That's what it amounts to. Oh, the drug war is even worse. The drug war is as much of a farce as the war on terror. All the drug war is cops take drugs away from the people so they don't have competition. The same with the war on terror. There was no terror in the Middle East until the US CIA got involved. You go back and look at Iran during the 50s and 60s. That place looked like Las Vegas. It was gorgeous. They were free. There was no hijabs in Iran in 1960. There were beautiful women in bikinis being free. That was in Iran. Iran was free before the CIA went in and wrecked it and turned it into the Islamic shithole it is today. Libya had the highest reading rate in the world. Some of the best education in the world, some of the best healthcare in the world was in Libya. Until Hillary Clinton decided to bomb it to pieces. Iraq was a beautiful place. Saddam Hussein, was he a warlord? Absolutely. But you need a big tyrant, because it's better to have one big tyrant than a million little ones running around. America has destroyed the world. Why? Minimize what America's done to the world as what the FBI has done to America. The Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping. 9 FBI agents. 9 of the 12 men in the van were FBI agents. If not for the FBI, that crime would never have been thought of. January 6th, if not for the FBI, that insurrection where the guys forgot their guns would have never happened. It wasn't Trump supporters that broke the windows of the building. I've already seen the breakdown of every person that broke the windows in that building. Guess who they were? Assets. CHS. Confidential Human Sources. You see, the FBI has to have a reason to be needed. So they have to keep committing crimes so they're useful. It's just like the old example of the firemen. Firemen love fire. So when they're bored and they ain't got fire to fight, what do? They'll go light fires. So they got something to go put out. The FBI, just like with this, they knew about the guy in New Orleans. He was on their list. Well, then why didn't they go get him? They were warned about him 12 hours in advance, but they just didn't see the urgency. You know them, but you know the Masons have, Yep. Masons have to have those kids. There you go. Tina, do you have a Cash App? She don't listen to me. She'll never hear me. Let's see. Look what YouTube just did to my comment. I know. I see it. It's just she never listens to me. Never does. Even when it's at her own do. FBI is there to keep themselves relevant. It's like law enforcement. Crime is falling off so fast. Why do you think they're bringing all these illegals in? You see, they can't take our rights away if we're a safe and peaceful nation. See, we were safe and peaceful, so what did they have to do? They had to come in and write more laws. You get that? We were safe and peaceful. Everything was fine. Crime was dropping. So they had to write more laws to drive the crime up, just like Obama and mass shootings. It was number 4 dead, 4 4 homicides at one time as a mass shooting. Obama said, "Oh well, we need to make the mass shootings look worse, so we'll make it 3." So then mass shootings tripled overnight. Oh, there's so many more now. See, when the crime rate falls, you got to make new laws. Why? To have more cops and more tyranny. Because guess what? We wouldn't even need a military in America if it wasn't for America going around the world and creating havoc. America is responsible for wiping out the world. We are the great Satan they accuse us of. I just don't understand the people that don't understand it. I mean, I've lost some of my buddies that were veterans. They've heard me speak. I'm not gonna lose sleep over them not liking me anymore because of my speech. I guess the reason why is because I don't lie. If I took an oath to defend the Constitution and this nation, there's no place I wouldn't go and no person I wouldn't go after to defend the Constitution and this nation. There shouldn't be a veteran in America right now that isn't at that border for free. Did you hear me? There shouldn't be a veteran alive that's not at that border stopping what's happening. They should be going into city halls and town councils and pulling these politicians out and throwing them in prison. How is it everywhere? Everywhere. Big business comes to a town, and every one of the residents say, "We don't want that business." Just like the Walmarts. We don't want Walmart here. We don't want them. They're destructive. We don't want them. And city council say, "Well, we're going to do the will of the people. We're going to uphold your rights, folks. We're going to have the vote next week. Don't worry about it. We got it covered." People come back next week, and what happens? Walmart's coming to town. Get ready for them. Cops won't believe this, and veterans won't understand it. People that don't know me won't get what I'm getting ready to say. I don't lie. I don't lie. Once you're freed from that, a liar is somebody that is afraid of the consequences of their mouth or their actions. That's what a liar is. You're afraid of the consequences of your mouth or your actions. I do my best not to do things I regret. I do my best not to. Once you've been freed from lying, it's almost impossible to go back to it. Because it's just like when you're sober for 100 days. And what's the point of being sober for 100 days if I'm going to drink on 101 and I got to start all over again? Right? What's the point? So why is our government full of liars? Why are our veterans liars? Why does that oath mean nothing? Why is it when most First Amendment auditors go up to cops and ask them what the first what's the five rights held in the First Amendment, that they just don't have a clue? They have no freaking idea. But they raised their hand. They had to say it. And I've seen cops so dumb, they say, "Yep, I don't know, but I raised my hand and I did it." They want the reward for doing this, but they don't know the sacrifice it takes to do it. And I just, because I'm outnumbered on Facebook. all my Facebook friends, every one of them are a bunch of cop-sucking, boot-licking jerks. Video after video after video, and they're still, if not for law enforcement, we just wouldn't be safe. Well, that's a lie. That's an absolute lie. I was reminded of this the other day. The town, I think it's in Georgia, where every homeowner in that town is required to own a gun. Safest town in America. Because if that criminal knows he's going to break in the house when there's somebody that's going to shoot their ass, guess what ain't going to happen? You're less likely to break in that house where that person's going to blow your brains out. It's just like with cops. Rarely is there any crime committed when somebody makes a phone call to the law. People call cops, like Jeff Gray, the Honor Your Oath says, the great American pastime, calling law enforcement. Well, when my neighbor parked on the grass and I need cops here now. Well, my neighbor is watering his lawn and he got water on my plant. Call the cops. My neighbor, his trash can's in front of my house. Call the cops. Well, my neighbor, I just don't like him. Call the cops. He painted his cow. It's just nonstop. And cops take that phone call as reasonable suspicion of a crime. I saw it again on a video today where a cop is harassing. Well, we got a call. You got to ID yourself. That's reasonable suspicion. And then when they go to explain, okay, what's your reasonable suspicion, officer? Well, I'm being reasonable and I suspect you're doing something. Literally, these are college-educated cops who think reasonable suspicion is they're reasonable and they suspect something. And when you're talking to a cop, it doesn't matter if you're a lawyer or a judge. There's nothing you can say that's correct. Nothing. They're right no matter what. It doesn't matter. They're right. And you're just lying because you don't know nothing. You're not the cop here. And the one that makes me laugh every time is, if you think you can do my job better, won't you come out here and risk your life? If that's the case, my job's a lot more dangerous than yours because I'm more likely to be killed by law enforcement than you are. My life's in a lot more danger than yours is. I mean, the cops watching my videos, what do they think's happening? That they don't believe the drones are where they're at? They don't believe it's happening? Or is it the feds have told them, very dangerous man, we got him under surveillance. Be careful. Sounds like a good way to get me killed, don't it? Let's see here. God has used you to teach me to be truthful and bold. Thank you, Mossy, man. That's a great compliment for God. Thank God for that. I don't want to take any credit. It ain't mine. God did that. God did that. And Mossy, man, you know my faults better than I do. There's so much more improvement I can do. What's up, Jake? Thank you for being here. Hey, Jake, love to everyone. They will arrive in 4 hours, maybe. There you go. I'm using my verbal Uzi in grocery store lines and gas stations. There you go. They always have to be some active threat for them to show up. They can't admit it's, and that's the thing. That's the problem. Cops treat every ordinary citizen like the worst terrorist in the world. They are not scared at all to pull you over. I've seen so many 70 to 80 to 90-year-old elderly women being slammed and tased by cops the past 3 years. It makes me sick. They don't mind victimizing us because there's no accountability. Like I said, qualified immunity means they're just too goddamn stupid to know better. That's all qualified immunity is. They're just too stupid. They hire cops that are just too stupid. Now, there are the true believers out there. And I knew a true believer. He worked for the sheriff's department. I watched him grow up. He was my Volkswagen mechanic's nephew. And he was a good kid. He was honest. He didn't drink. He didn't cuss. He was a true believer in law enforcement. He truly believed what he was doing was right. And then he took the job. And I started to see that enthusiasm die really quick. Now, it's been years since I had a falling out with my Volkswagen guy. And since I haven't seen this man. But to see that idea of law and order and I'm a hero and I'm serving my community die in his eyes confirmed everything I already knew. That he realized he wasn't being a hero. He was hurting his fellow citizens. If I can't afford to get a sticker on my car, and a cop comes and takes the money that maybe could have paid for that sticker, and now I got to pay for the sticker and pay the cops, did that help the state? Did that help me? Did that rehabilitate me? Well, if you get enough tickets for a bad sticker, you'll eventually get the money to get it. So I can't afford the sticker, but you're going to steal my money and then tell me to go get the sticker I can't afford. So then cops are going to force me into crime. So I'm not committing a crime. So now I got to go steal food to feed my family to get the sticker to pay the fine. Now, I'm not a thief. But cops would say, well, just don't drive in. Get a ride back and forth. Here's the dumbest thing of all. I've been through this. I don't drink anymore. And I wasn't drunk when I got DWIs years ago. Wasn't drunk. When you drink 12 beers a day when you're 12 years old, you don't get drunk on 0.08. You just don't. You get pulled over for DUI. And here's the whole Constitution being turned upside down again. You're innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, right? Well, it's supposed to be that way. You get a DUI, we're taking your driver's license. Now, you can't drive till you go to court, okay? But in the meantime, you gotta go make money because you got to pay for a lawyer, okay? Now, when you go to court, you can't get your driver's license back for a year, but you still got to pay the fines. And now, since you ain't got a driver's license, you got to pay the fines, and you got to go to alcohol and drug classes, and you got to get a drug and alcohol assessment, and you got to do drug and alcohol classes, and you got to do community service. What? So you're taking my license away, but now you're forcing me to go 20 more places and be out on the road when I never would have been out there to start with. Now you're going to make me go 20 more places without a license. And just think about when you're innocent. And this is this is happening all over America. These drug recognition experts, well, you got really beady pupils there. You're that Stagmus test. Listen here, let me remind you guys, never let cops give you drug tests. Never let them do recognition tests. Never do the walk and talk and touching your nose and looking at your. Never do. Refuse every time. I don't care if you're stone cold sober. You cannot pass those tests. That Stagmus test, 82% ineffective. 82% ineffective. They got a worse. I think they are either equal or more than the ineffectiveness as a drug dog. Don't do it. It's not a pass or fail. And that one I watched the other day. Oh my God, I was furious. This rich guy owned a hedge fund, opened up a church, was out on the water in his really nice boat in Florida with his family and friends from out of town. Just left church, was just riding around the lake. Cops pull him over, and a drug recognition park ranger of Florida Wildlife pulls him over. And because the guy couldn't put his boat in reverse a boat, and he said he hadn't operated that much. I mean, rich guys really don't operate their boats that often, especially big new boats. He didn't put it in park fast enough and didn't put it in reverse quick enough. And he's on a boat that's moving. Let's say it's right here, but he couldn't stand still. DUI. Arrest him in front of his children. Drug recognition expert. And the cop's like, well, I ain't been wrong yet. I got a perfect record of busting you guys. And the guy's like, I'm friends with Ron DeSantis. I've got friends in the local police force. I'm innocent. And everybody's like, he hasn't drank anything. You smell my. No, I don't necessarily suspect you of alcohol, but you've done some kind of drug. That's why you're the way you are. How am I? This guy backed the blue. He said openly, he said, I'm going to make it my life's mission to shut you down. I'm going to make it my mission to stop you. All over America, these drug recognition experts are arresting sober people who are not drunk, who are not on drugs, who are completely sober, but their lives are ruined. And normally it takes 20 arrests, 20 of them, for the prosecutor to finally deny that cop from being that person again, or at least checking up on the case. By that time, that person's already went through the system. He's already spent a night in jail. He's lost his freedom. He's lost his money. He's on bond, his own bail, loses his job. He loses everything before he's even found innocent. There is no recourse when you're unlawfully arrested. I don't care how much money it is. There's no recourse. You cannot take that trauma back of putting a man in a cage. That's why it doesn't bother law enforcement, because they don't know. And this is the problem, another problem with law enforcement. The majority, I'd say 99.9% of cops that get the job have never been arrested. But that was back when they had stricter standards than now. I know there's a lot of criminals work for cops, but they don't know what it's like to be through the injustice system. They don't know what it's like to be handcuffed behind your back. Well, they're not meant for comfort. Chili DeCastro is right. Those are torture. I can't hold my hands behind my back. My shoulder doesn't work that way. It doesn't. My shoulder pops out a lot more now than it even did before. But just being like that behind my hands, that's torture. Especially somebody like me with PTSD, lights flashing in my eyes, handcuffs behind my back. I'm tight. I'm claustrophobic as hell. Just put me in the back of the car without handcuffs. It's terror. That's literally torture to me. I can't hardly do elevators. When we went to the beach, third floor, not even high off the ground. I was freaked out the whole time. Freaked out the whole time. All I can envision is that building coming down and I'm dead. I'm dead. I can't save myself. I can't get out. I'd walk down 3 flights of stairs, hated going, can't do that. Seeing my kid, my grandson at NICU, can't, it was so hard. I had to do it for my daughter. Terrifying. I have seen the end times. I have seen buildings crumble. I've seen it since I was 6 years old, going through downtown Oklahoma City in the skyscrapers. And we come to the end of the road. There's this big, tall skyscraper as high as I can see. And right then and there, I crawled in the bottom of my dad's floorboard of his truck, and I looked up, and I saw the end times of these buildings crashing. Can't do it. God bless you, man. Thank you, Gabby. I love pushing the buttons to the right, especially the shocked face one. Yeah. They give them a psychological test. They have to find them emotionally immature. You're exactly right. Stickers are easy to steal. Little boy's up early, so I will hopefully see that rest tomorrow. Thank you, Miss Maine. Thank you so much. God bless you. Let's see. Why you have to kill your contract at DMV if you don't use the roads commercially. There you go. Call it humiliation ritual. The wild open. And that's it. I think, and I'm going to say it again, law enforcement should be made to wear handcuffs once a month, because the day that they get out of handcuffs, they're going to dread the next 30 days of being back in handcuffs again. They're going to dread it. Every month they ought to be in handcuffs for a half an hour. Every month they ought to be pepper sprayed. Every month they ought to be tased. Every month they ought to be put in a jail cell. Every single month. While they're in handcuffs, they should be getting training on social services, on seeing mental illness. Every month they should get, as they're in handcuffs, they should learn something about being human. Every month while they're in handcuffs, while they're in a cage, they should see about compassion. Every month in handcuffs, in a cage, because that pain of handcuffs and in a cage is a reminder to take in what they're seeing. It's a reminder, because there's too many cops walking around today that have never had handcuffs on, that have never been in a jail cell, that have never been through the system, because the ones out there who have been unjustly and unlawfully arrested and thrown through the system could not continue being law enforcement any longer. They finally realized when they were on that side, oh my God, what have I done all these years? If you sign up for a job where it's okay to kill a man for a weed eater, and when you watch the videos on my channel, the guy that killed that old 63-year-old man was running backwards, falling, shooting. And all he saw was a man in his doorway at 12 in the morning holding a pistol. That's all he saw. He didn't see a man raise up and shoot. He just saw a man 30 foot away. This cop's 30 feet away at 12 in the morning. Run, falling backwards, shooting. Boom, 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 boom. Unloads the whole mag. That innocent man. SWAT's got to stop. No more SWAT raids. No more. It's too much. It's too much. There are too many men, women, children, and pets that get murdered every single year in no-knock raids. For what? This is what Hollywood has done. And 80s grew up watching Miami Vice. Grew up watching these violent TV shows, and they're trained to think that everybody's got an AK-47. Everybody's got a Tech 9, and they're going to kill you. This is what cops have been taught. The old school cops. The new cops are even worse, because they were trained with the ones who grew up watching that garbage. So now all they think all day long was they train them for the very worst situation. And 99.9% of them will never even see the somewhat bad people. We train for the very worst to be prepared. No, you're not. You don't train for the worst to be prepared for the worst. You train for the worst. That way you can kill the least of us. No one should be killed by law enforcement. No one. And cops say, well, if you just not resist, you can't say that no more. There's too many videos of people being killed by law enforcement who did everything law enforcement said to do. It's literally no different than spinning a freaking wheel to find out what mood a cop's going to be on. No different. And all it takes is change that little wheel. The only thing it takes to change that wheel is to ask a question or say something they don't like. Ego, boop, directly to jail. When the law says you can be arrested for resisting arrest if you stiffened up, that's a problem in the law. It's too vague. How do you prove that? It's on body camera, or you can see he's stiffing up. Well, I didn't see nothing. Well, I felt him stiff. He was beginning to stiffen. Well, which is it? He was beginning to stiffen up, or he stiffened? You see, there's no and that's the problem. Cops have too much credibility when they go to court. Too much. What happened to his word against my word? It's his word backed up by the state versus my word backed up by nobody. And cops are like, well, we've had the training. They don't get the training to be human. You know that one of the most dangerous things on the streets of America is a military veteran who's a cop. It's one of the most dangerous people on our nation. A veteran that's a cop. Because they treat us like we're in a war zone. That's why they call us civilians. That's a military term. I'm not a civilian. I'm a citizen. Big difference. Says they laugh at people they humiliate. Oh, yeah, they get a kick out of it. That cop was so happy when they arrested me. Both of them were happy about it. Haven't got any of my public records for some reason. Isn't that strange? My lawyer said they're really stupid in Longview and they think they can get away with it. They're not going to get away with it. I'm going to turn in my intent to sue tomorrow for not fulfilling my body camera footage or all the footage I requested. I requested all kinds of good stuff. They haven't filled any of it. They're going to find out. We need to make it mandatory. Mandatory every month. Law enforcement should have to have handcuffs on, sit in a cage, and while they're sitting in a cage with the handcuffs, they ought to be learning. They need to be learning. They need to watch the videos I watch every day of cops abusing people. Every day, you know what do they call it? The victim impact statements. You heard about that? Victim impact statements when killers or molesters or all them other people have to stand there and then the family members of the victims tell them how they feel. Cops should have to be forced to listen to victim impact statements of people that have been run through the system. In America today, most people are living paycheck to paycheck. So if I get pulled over and I lose $150 out of my wallet, that can cause my whole family to be evicted and we lose everything. But see, when you work for the government, you don't have that problem. You know your check's always going to be there. Your health care's always going to be paid. And if you happen to get pulled over speeding, you're going to get off. You've always got all these. When it's government work, you got it made. I've never met poor people that work for government. I could be wrong, but I've never met a poor government worker. You go to social services where anybody shows up, every car in that parking lot, even little Mexicans that just broke into the country that are sitting up front answering the phone calls in Spanish. They got a brand new car, baby. Best dressed in the best rags with a brand new Apple 25. They don't know what it's like to suffer. They don't know what it's like to struggle. They have no idea. And I'm not saying they get paid absorbent amounts, but $40,000 a year to ride around and harass somebody over stickers and tags, that's a pretty good goddamn paycheck. Stalkers at Walmart work harder and are in more danger than law enforcement is. You can quote me on that. We have to lessen the amount of interactions with law enforcement because there's too many of them that are dangerous. And I'm telling you this much. I've met cops that are great one day that are absolute assholes the next, and it didn't have any reflection on how I acted. Cops don't know how to separate. They do not know how to separate. They got into law enforcement because that's their identify. They identify. They are just as rabid and ravenous as these transsexuals are. It's all about their body parts. Cops. It's all about that badge. You take the badge away from them and they're nothing. They're nothing. They can't separate that badge and costume from who they are, because without that badge and costume, they have no identity. They're just vanilla. They just blend in. They're just like paint. You can tell no difference. It's just another color of paint. It's their identity. So the least little thing sets them off. Contempt cop, you're going to jail. It's too easy to take a man's freedom away in America. It's too easy. I just fear it's going to get a lot worse. It's going to get a lot worse because the government's going to keep making more and more laws. They're going to keep making more laws to protect us, protect them from us. That's what they're doing. I mean, even under this COVID crap, you can't. I mean, now City Halls can shut the whole building down. You can't come in unless you got an appointment. You can't come in unless we'll come down and meet you outside. This is our building. Oh, we got this glass screen. Oh, you can't get back here. Oh, this is a private area. This is a private area. They have completely walled themselves up because they know what's coming. The government knows they're going to push and push and push and push so far till the people finally get sick of it. And unfortunately, America is full of 78% cowards and 12%, well, 10% people that aren't scared to talk, and then 2% people who are just done and ready at any moment. It's the ones that took that oath that are the worst. They're the ones on Facebook bumping them guns, them veterans. We're going to stand up for our Constitution. We're going to fight back. We're not going to take it no more. Therein lies the problem. What's the greatest slave master in America, y'all? That 4-letter word? Debt. Law enforcement can't afford to rat out the bad cops. They're scared they might not get back up. They can't afford. They got that jet ski now. If they didn't have them 2 jet skis, they'd have a little cushion, but they're so broke they can't afford. I can't rock the boat. I can't rat out my sergeant for kicking that little black kid last week. I can't rat him out. I'll lose my job. Scared. They can't manage money. They got brand new car. It's a lease. It's a big old brand new truck on 44s. That's mine. I'm a cop. I make $40,000 a year. How much is that truck? It's an $80,000 truck. Nice truck. It's a nice truck. $80,000 for a truck. Yeah, man, but it's a nice truck. It's got to be. I gotta have something dependable. So this debt has captured more cops. There's every excuse in the world for a bad cop. It all comes down to here. That's what it comes down to. If you're not a Christian, if you don't profess Jesus as your Lord and Savior, you're not cut out for law enforcement. You don't have the moral compass it takes to be compassionate. Sorry. They always say, oh, I can use my discretion. How many times do they do that? If a cop even thinks about taking you to jail over a sticker, so what if you got mad? So what if you cussed him over a sticker? How many times do you watch videos where cops say, well, if he wouldn't have cussed me out, everything would have been fine. I'd have gave him a warning. That's retaliation right there. You retaliated against him because he used his First Amendment right. All over. Why do you think the cops here hate me? Why do you think they threaten me? Because of my speech. Retaliation. Once a police department says, we're going to go through all your social media and find a crime to arrest you for because we don't like your speech. We don't like what you say about us. We don't like that you've exposed us. Once you say that, any other arrest or ticket from there on out should, in an honest courtroom, should be kicked out. That's the punishment. The judge should say, you know what? I heard what you said. How can I say that what you and your officers did was just? How can I trust what your officers did that night when you say you're going to find a crime to arrest him for? How do we know you didn't look through all his vehicles and all to keep checking up on everything he was doing? How do we know you weren't watching videos to see where he came home at? How did you know he was coming down that same road that he records from every week? How were you there in that one spot when you've never been there before, but ever since you pulled him over that night, you've been there 4 times now? See, that's why the judicial system needs somebody like me. Because if I was in that courtroom, there would be fairness. It would be me representing the law. And I would be adversarial to the state, not the citizens. this monetary punishment is too much. And people are so broke in America now that if the monetary punishment is too much, so you take away their freedom, well, then they can't work. So it's monetary and freedom. So now you're just taking everything. The state is too big. The government is too powerful. America has fallen. Terrified for his life. It's like the Chappelle show. White collar crime versus low level drug offenses. Yep. Nowadays, cops are hired based on low IQ. And I've seen that many times where cops are hired because just like the military. The military likes people that follow. They want people that follows orders. Do not think for yourself. And it's just like the testing. It's just like how they're raising our children. They're not teaching our children to think. They're teaching them to be good slaves. Take the test. Take the test. You're training for the test. You're training for the job. You're training for the job. You're training for the job. We're not teaching you how to run a business. We're not teaching you how to think for yourself. You're training for the job. You're training to follow orders. I mean, you listen to some cops, they sound like robots. Bah, 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 bah. The same garbage. The same garbage. Not a thought going. You can tell a cop case law, and when you say cop case law, it's like you said freaking Cool Ranch Doritos. There's no what? Cool Ranch Doritos, I don't know what that means. It goes straight through. It's disgusting. Last comment. I know I snuck in a law saying body camera footage will cost $75 an hour to go through and edit. They're going to do everything they can do to keep from being accountable. But I wish I had a PayPal address and a Cash App because I'm relying on the good Lord. If you want to donate anything, ChannonTownsend@yahoo.com. I'll leave my email. I ain't asking. I'm tired of being accused of being a scammer. Never scammed anything from anybody. Not going to do it. Any help's greatly needed. I'm still running on a tire that I took off my car a month and a half ago, but I had to it is what it is. I'm gonna keep moving ahead. I can't even see my screen here. Where's that button at? There's the at. Anybody hasn't had my email address, that's it. ChannonTownsend@yahoo.com. Gabby, I'll check my email again. I'm exhausted. I'm beat. Thank you guys for being here. I really do appreciate it. 11 people out of 720. Does that make any sense at all? Does that make any sense? God bless. Pray for me. I look forward to hearing from you guys. Thanks so much. I'm honored that you're stuck with me this long. I see you. Oh, gosh.